Time for our tropical update, and we'll get to the eastern Atlantic in just a second. We want to update you on Tropical Storm Fay. A couple stories with this. Even though it's made landfall, it is still an entity we're dealing with here just west of Lake Okeechobee. Flooding and tornadoes are the story with this, at least right now. So here are the very latest. This is the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Winds at 60. It hasn't changed. The pressure has actually dropped 2 millibars. How do you like that? Over land. But it is forecast to weaken as it sits over land and loses that energy here from the water. So we're going to watch this move towards north-northeast. Right now it's moving very slowly at 9 miles per hour. It actually is going to slow down even more. So that's why flooding is going to be a concern with this. And that's the Latin long if you're following along here. Now, the good news is, on this new advisory, they've discontinued the tropical storm warnings here for the west coast of Florida all the way to the Keys southwest of Ocean Reef, and Florida Bay has been discontinued. And the tropical storm watches here for the Bahamas have been discontinued too. Still under those warnings though for the east coast. That's where some of the strongest winds are, the strongest bands that are rotating around this. So here it is on our visible. This is a cool picture, isn't it? And you can still see a really decent circulation with this, and still that center still intact. And a threat for tornadoes still with us too. So that's another story with this. And as you get later in the day, Orlando will get some of the heavy rains out of this too. Now there's that tornado watch until 4 o'clock this afternoon, and it will be extended, especially northward, and even for central Florida, maybe even later today, as it slowly works northward. And where you see some of those yellows and reds, that's where we're getting some of the very heavy rainfall amounts. Now, earlier we had a tornado reported in Palm Beach County. That was early this morning. We've had warnings off and on with this area right here, this line, this band right here. And some of these storms just east of Miami look pretty wicked. Thank goodness they're offshore at this point. But really around that center, we can still get tropical storm gusts with this. So power outages are still possible. Okay, and still seeing these sustained winds up to 30 miles an hour around this with higher gusts than this. We've already had, earlier in the Keys, wind over 70 miles per hour as it moved by. So very heavy rain. Boy, it's a washout, folks. Sit tight. We don't want you traveling this at all. Flash flood watches in effect, flash flood warnings in effect, because some of these counties like Martin County and Palm Beach County, over 6 inches of rainfall here. Gully washers. Again, we're advising folks not to travel. Of course, there's a tornado threat out there, too. They spin up very quickly. Jacksonville, anticipation of this coming your way. And by Wednesday, by the way, this could be offshore again, the Atlantic, and it's something we're going to have to deal with. There are some of the heavy rain amounts we've seen. That red indicating it was 5, 6 inches, and we could see several more inches of rain. That's why there's concern for flash flooding. It will cause flash flooding. Now, the projected path, this is going to be crazy, folks. Stephanie was talking about this. We could possibly, it's not the question, see a third landfall as this moves to the northeast. By sometimes Wednesday, this could be out in the Atlantic again and then recurve towards the north and west, because high pressure to the north is going to steer it this way and really not move it too much. So we could be dealing with a third landfall maybe. We could be dealing with a lot of rainfall around Jacksonville and Savannah. Some areas need it, but not that much. So really don't let your guard down just because this is over land right now. So that's the story here. The other story is this little entity right here out in the eastern Atlantic. This could become a depression, but upper level winds eventually will be unfavorable for this to develop into too much.